All right, guys, fire away if you've got any questions or if you want to chat about something. I can see your questions. Hey, Alan, how's the weather? Hey, Don. I'm actually back in America, and it's really bloody hot. Yes, Blaine. I think next season I'm going to be doing a classical recital somewhere near Dallas. Thank you very much for buying the CDs. Tutorial for Cold Dark Age. Yeah, that's highly possible. I have to learn it myself. It's very simple. It's if you learn that most useful finger picking pattern. If you don't know how to do that, do that first. There's a tutorial for that. It's got the only difference is it's got this low C on the thickest string. So that's the sound of the Cold Dark Age. Besides that, the right hand's just like pretty simple. I'd love to come to Springfield, Illinois. Arrange a concert for me and I'll come up and do it. Anybody got any guitar questions? Are you? Yes, I am. Michael? Very philosophical question there. I just got back from Ireland, where the weather is just amazing. I hate to talk about the weather, but the cool air just makes me happy. Good evening. Ibji, is that how you pronounce that? Ibji, the cool name. Hello, Oliver. Yeah, and I just got back to North Carolina here, and it's like 95 degrees or something. A little bit depressing, but I did miss the cicadas, and I was sitting out there on my porch. Don't really have porches in Ireland, because you'd be sitting out in the rain. But I do like sitting out on my porch. I was smoking a cigar. Hey, Greg. Been listening to the Bach album. Thank you. Falsetto or singing between chest and head voice. What is that for? Is there a song you're referring to? What about ye, big man? Magic. I'm sitting here eating an arrow that I got back home. I finger pick like Paul McCartney on guitar. Any advice or songs to practice using my ring and middle finger? Yeah, if you look at those wee tutorials I did about finger picking basics, how to use your fingers, get in core position. That's what you want to look into. And you can kind of, basic good classical technique will set you up for good, finger picking technique. Any tips on how to find good melodies? Ooh, that's a hard one. That's a good. Okay, Tom, how do your nails? I luckily have very strong nails. They're just lucky that I know most people would they kind of wince when they see me playing steel string. Yes, I'm gonna be doing some kind of in the classical mode at the minute, but I'll be doing some concerts. I've got like a little East Coast, a few concerts getting ready in the New York area in October. I'll actually be doing a wee lecture at Yale. Sounds very fancy. Tutorials classes on arranging, composition, and harmony would be amazing. Okay, yeah, do that. Yeah, where do melodies come from? That's a difficult one. I go out fishing for melodies. They kind of come to me, and they occur. Favorite luthiers? Well, the only classical guitar I played is for a long time is an Enrique Botelli, an Italian maker. He makes lovely guitars, and it was a very special guitar. But there's this guy, Zebulon Turrentine. If you look up his guitars, he's made me this amazing guitar, which has a bit more bass response and a wee bit more kind of suited for some of the Chopin and Spanish stuff that I'll be recording soon. Oh, East Coast, yeah. So yeah, that this guitar is amazing. The sustain, I mean, Zeb's really figured it out. Yeah, I'd love to come to Austin. I've actually got a niece in Austin, and my wife's family are Texans. You know, they're from Texas. Analysis of your back ranges. Yeah, I'm gonna do. Sorry if I have to. These questions are coming so quick. I'm looking on my phone. Yeah, let me answer one. Hold your question until I answer one. Yeah, this Zeb guitar is incredible. It's like Zeb Turrentine. It's got this incredible sustain. Yeah, would be a good nylon string acoustic. Maybe like Cordoba kind of guitars, $1,000. Altamira, kind of a entrance level, but very good quality for the price. What's your impression? I don't know what that is. Smart acoustic guitars. I don't know what that is. I use Larave steel string guitars, and I use on a kind of. I've got an old Gibson that I used on some of Abilene, and I've got this old Harmony guitar. So it's kind of a story behind it. Maybe I'll do a little video with my little group of guitars at some point. I'm sorry if I missed your question. I can't. Is there a place where I can read all of them? Never done this before. Sorry, I'm a bit of a Luddite. So if I didn't answer your question, just repeat it and I can see it. You know. But yeah, I just got back from Ireland. I was very busy, but with family and stuff. But the cool air there is so amazing. Oh my gosh, it has oxygen in it. What would you bring back from Ireland if you could? I bring back like kind of various chocolate bars from my childhood. What else did I bring back? Just some stuff for the kids, like silly stuff. I brought my brother a cycling book, because he's a really crazy cyclist. How to cycle around Ireland. He does like 60 miles a day and stuff. What do I bring back from Ireland if I could? Oxygen, cool air. No matter how warm it is, even if it's like a beautiful summer's day, there's always this like kind of oceanic, like air conditioning undercurrent that's happening, and it just makes me happy. So when I live here, kind of in the Piedmont of North Carolina, about 40 minutes from the mountains. So on the weekends, me and my wife usually escape to the mountains, which we'll probably be doing tomorrow. Do you intend releasing the YouTube material? The YouTube material is on CD at alanmearns.com, and all the proceeds go to the Red Charity if you buy the CD. When did I start playing classical guitar? I taught myself kind of like, when I was about 14 or 15, I just started kind of messing it. Any plans of doing a 90s grunge arrangement? Maybe not necessarily for classical. I don't like to kind of mix drinks. I take kind of pop music very seriously, so I usually do the songs and then I do classical stuff. Good whiskeys. The best whiskey you can get, it's kind of gone up in price recently, but you see this Dunville, it's in the Chacon video, Dunville PX, which is made in a wee town near Belfast. Dunville was a big whiskey producer around the time when the Titanic was being made. It was the biggest in the world, and it used to be located in Belfast, and used to provide most of the Irish whiskey in the world. And now they're just kind of a wee small operation. Dunville PX, 10-year-old, is like incredible. I think it's Cooley whiskey. Most of the whiskey in Ireland is either Bushmills or Jameson, and no matter what name it goes under. But this Dunville PX was like incredible. It's had like these kind of, if you look up the review of it from Ralphie Ralphie's whiskey. It's worth this. The guy's amazing. We Scottish guy, and he reviews whiskey on YouTube. So look up Ralphie whiskey and Dunville PX. And so this whiskey has like these flavors of Ireland in a way, because Irish whiskey, they think they throw in a bit of green stuff, literally, like they throw in some hedges and lawn trimmings or something. But it has these notes of like an Irish summer, like apple and grass and greenness, and very hard to describe, but very pleasant. It's possible by your arrangement of Beret and E minor. I just worked off yeah, just repeat your question if I don't do it. I just worked off my wee Julian Bream book for the 996 suite and just did some things. I recorded that a wee while ago. So I did some things that were different that just kind of occurred to me, at the time. Because I think the main thing that I did different was just did the ending on the repeat like an octave higher. So it could kind of end on a, excuse me, on a suspension and a Picardy third, like the rest of the pieces. Discovered any new artists that makes you? Yeah, I usually just bump into things that I like, that people kind of come to me. So sometimes they're old artists and they're new to me, records within the last 10 years that I like. There's an amazing Black Angels record called Death Song that to me is like a classic record, like a real classic record. And I don't know why. I guess since the kind of collapse of the music industry, you don't really hear about things like that much more. Blah, 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 blah. Okay. So the sorry, someone's trying to message me at the same time. How much do you notice the shorter of your new guitar? Oh, hey, Tom. I don't, it's big enough, the guitar for me. Sorry, something about Julian Bream. Do you have any interest in experimenting with temperaments of the guitar? I'm usually not that too fussed about. I just like a guitar to sound good. Sorry, these questions does anyone know how to keep the questions up? How do I look at these? All messages are visible. How do I see them? Okay, sorry. Are you a fan of Julian Bream? Julian Bream is my favorite guitar player of all time. And probably my favorite classical musician of all time. Performer. And then my teacher, Stanley Yates, is my second favorite guitarist of all time. Do you have any experiments and temperaments on the guitar? Oh yeah, I mean, I was actually just hanging out at the GFA with somebody who messes with that. I don't really understand the temperament thing. If you have the wiggly frets, I don't know how that would work in different keys. I like a well-tempered guitar. And ever since I heard Love's Code, my dream is to learn play only one. Can make a tutorial. Yeah, absolutely. I can make a tutorial on that. No problem. Let me see here. His channel is Brandon. Who's that? Sorry. Totes my goats. Sorry, I'm just looking at these questions. My wife is from Larne. Brilliant. Hello to your wife, Lauren. We were up there in the North Coast very recently. Discovered, yeah. So new artists, not necessarily new, probably to you guys. I mean, I'm an old chunk of coal, as Norm Macdonald would say. I really like this album by Beach House. It's called Depression Cherry. It's like an amazing album, like that Black Angels one all the way through. The recent albums I really love. These are pop albums. I really love two of the more recent Nick Cave albums. Push the Sky Away The Sky, not This Guy. Push the Sky Away is incredible. And Skeleton Tree, I may like that even more. So that's kind of incredible stuff. That's up there with, Dylan and Leonard Cohen, and amazing poetry, and the music's incredible too. So it's almost like a new version of lyric poetry. I find. Let me see here. Let me see if I can see some of these questions. Sorry if I've missed one of your questions. I'm reasonably okay at folk picking, but we'd like to get into a bit of classical playing. Any entrance level? Yeah, there's a lot of entrance level stuff. My teacher, Stanley Yates, actually has a book of graded repertoire. If you look up the Mel Bay Stanley Yates series. Hi Alan, I really love Bullet. Do you have a solo arrangement of it? Just the music? Bullet, no, I just do things like that as a kind of a fancy accompaniment, and try and kind of split the guitar up into like a little miniature band, so even though there's lots of stuff going on, there's still the melody is kind of such an integral part of it. I can't really, divorce the song from the song, because that's how it kind of came. Do you play any percussive guitar? Like, look at, I don't know what that is. Percussive guitar. I strum the guitar sometimes. It's percussive, but I try not to whack it if I can help it. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but did you compose all of the instruments on Yes the Raven album? Yeah, those are just, all that stuff. Anna Vidovich is incredible. I love Anna Vidovich. She's, just one of the greatest guitarists of all time. Kind of like that Barwaco level, of unbelievable. I think something maybe that you can only achieve when you're a child prodigy. With the guitar, like John Williams, somebody like that, where the guitar just is a part of her body, and she's just kind of tuned to it and wired into it in a way that isn't, a place for us mere mortals. Would you consider releasing your music in high res? I think, yeah. I don't really know what the ins and outs of that would be. I have to ask my friend Luke, the engineer. I work at a studio with him. I usually just do the music stuff, and he does all the twiddling, and he's a real engineer. I honestly didn't know she was a prodigy. Yeah, Anna Vidovich was like, you can see her playing when she's like, the guitar's like huge, and she's just a wee thing. My teacher Stanley knows her. She's a very nice person, apparently, too. Yep. If I missed your question, just repeat it. Whose channel was Brandon Acker? What are you talking about here? I missed that one. I'll tell you what's a good whiskey, Irish whiskey, that's affordable, more affordable, is Bushmills Black Bush, made in cherry casks. It's very easy to drink. When did you start playing classical guitar? Yeah, I just kind of taught myself to play classical guitar. Hilariously, almost doing some things by ear. I taught myself the famous Bach Bourrée. I was like 14, just learning the top line and the bottom line, just because that's all I had was my ear. And then when we moved to America, my parents took me to a classical guitar store in Houston, Texas. It was a big store with tons of music in it, and I didn't really have a clue what I was looking for, so I bought the Complete Lute Suites, the Frank Kuntz book, and so like Ponce preludes or something, and I just started to force myself to learn how to read music through the first lute, not the what they call the first lute suite, the 995 one. I just learned that prelude, which has a big kind of fugue in it, and I just slowly forced myself out of sheer will just to do it. Like if you want to do something enough, you kind of do it. And thankfully, I did a lot of guitar playing, a lot of widdly stuff, and so had a lot of dexterity. But I just thankfully didn't do something that was too crazy that would have harmed me in a way. Although I did have a little bit of an injury kind of thing when I was about 18. Hi, Alan. Any news on some new recordings from you? Any new record of Yes the Raven? Yeah, I have something kind of that's in the works called Season of the Wolf, which are songs that I've already written, and I just have to kind of finish it, And then I have some other ideas about doing a kind of a not a country thing, but almost like a Western type sound, maybe somewhere between, I don't know, like Roy Orbison and Enrico, or kind of Morricone type thing. That's the kind of stuff that I like to do. Are you a fan of Mike? Yes, Michael Hedges. Yeah, I mean, especially when I was younger. Yes, I record my own songs. Sometimes, like with Rick, I recorded most of those at home, and then I would come and work on them with him. Folk rockabilly music, kind of. It's hard to explain. It's kind of like this. I call it. It's a little bit like the Abilene record, maybe a bit more kind of expanded, with maybe some pedal steel guitar. There's a great guy in Hickory here called Jim Ashton, who's a great pedal steel. I'd love to be able to do some stuff with him and have kind of a 4-piece with my Telecaster, and occasionally do something for like Austin City Limits type crowd, where I could do some solo stuff with my acoustic guitar, like songs I already have, and then do a full band kind of thing and do some electric playing. If you want advice on picking independence, getting your thumb independent from your other fingers. Okay, yeah, well, the thumb is very independent from the other fingers. It's the most independent. Your thumb is very freaky. It's actually your largest finger. We usually think of our thumb as like this, but this is just half of your thumb. Your thumb starts here, and so your thumb is like half of your hand, basically. And in terms of independence, you really have your thumb, and then you've got this finger, and then this finger. That's how your hand works. And so when you're fingering stuff, you kind of do that. I'm blown away by the way you put your own spin on great songs. Yeah, it's true. Yeah, artificial intelligence probably couldn't do that much. Consciousness, we still don't understand consciousness itself, so I don't think we could teach it to a computer. Yeah, so in independence, yeah, then again, go into that, finger picking little series I did, and that will help you, with getting the right position. Can you make a video with a guitar lesson for playing your song Hola? Yeah, I could do that. I just have to kind of learn it. I think I actually did that with a pick. This Travis picking, something everyone can learn. Travis picking, I'm not really sure. Is Travis picking when you kind of finger pick with a pick as well? I think that's what that is, isn't it? Yeah, I mean, I do some things with a pick as well. When I do Irish music, with the Belfast Boys, I use a pick a lot, and sometimes I use my fingers at the same time. I don't really think about it. I just kind of do it. It's more the classical stuff I really think about, the technique. So, yeah, when I'm doing Yes the Raven stuff, or just any other styles, I really don't think about the guitar playing that much. I just kind of do it because it's just a lot easier than the Bach and Mozart and stuff. So, all the metal guys. Yeah, with if you can use your fingers in ways to reach things, if you want to get some big intervals, kind of Eric Johnson type stuff, you could use your fingers. I'm really proud of two of my heroes, Steve Vai and Joe Satriani. Peter, yeah. I mean, I love when I was a kid. Steve Vai was like my hero. I was like posters of him. I still have. A my first shredder guitar. It's like an Ibanez RG 750. That when I was wanting to be Steve Vai, I still have that. I need to get it set up again and do some widdly stuff just for fun. Yeah, Eric Johnson is awesome. Yeah, he was one of my heroes too. Yeah, so when I was younger, I was kind of obsessed with all that stuff. I used to love Tony McAlpine too. Season of the Wolf, yeah. So yeah, I've got some stuff in the pipes, Yes, there's a Belfast Boys CD. I mean, it's a little bit. I don't think I've got it up streaming or anything yet. It's called Songs for Crying Out Loud. Well, I guess I'll probably put it up on Spotify, where I kind of give my own kind of original treatment to some very famous ballads. So me and my friend Adrian, who's like my poetic mentor, he's an Ulster poet who moved to Hickory weirdly at the same time I did. As a kind of a artist in residence, and we started doing Irish music together, more for our own sake, just for our own soul's sake. We do little concerts and a lot of banter and stuff. And he's kind of like my bardic, poetic mentor, where we talk about poetry all the time, and and edit, each other's poetry. And he's a very established, well-known Irish poet. Anything else? Any guitar stuff or songwriting stuff? Somebody asked where melodies come from. Yeah, I love Weiss. I mean, Weiss wrote a few chaconnes, quite a few, and Passacaglia. I love his Passacaglia, which is essentially like a chaconne, only it's more to do with just the bass line as opposed to the harmonic implications. Yeah, the Passacaglia of Weiss is from a suite. Actually, my teacher Stanley did an amazing arrangement in C major. Usually people do it in D major, but D major is not as good a key on the guitar as you'd think. The C major really opens it up. Hey, Alan, do you play any flamenco or Spanish guitar? I don't really. I'm not like a flamenco player, though. It's something I love, like Paco de Lucia, Paco Peña, all the Pacos. I do plan on making a Spanish classical record, so I'm kind of like putting a bit of fresh paint on some of the old Spanish classical pieces by Albéniz and Granados and De Falla, and some new pieces that people haven't really heard, some Mompo. So I'm really looking forward to that. Yeah, I'm kind of doing the arranging process with that at the minute. So yeah, that's one of my favorite ways of playing the guitar. Yeah, Almeida is awesome too. Yeah, Phil. Yeah, I love the sound of Spanish guitar. Which are your closest poets or favorite poetry books? There's so many poets. I mean, there's so many great ones. I mean, obviously, my son Dorian's coming in here. I'm talking to my phone. It's all right. You can, you can chill. You can be yourself. I'm just doing this live thing. Sorry, what was I talking about? Poets. Good poets to start with. I mean, there's different eras of poets. It's kind of like talking about music in a way. It's kind of its own world. So I would start, although with poetry, because it's an issue of language, I would start with most recent poetry. And because, the good stuff, it's hard to, when you say good stuff, people would say it's objective, or subjective, but it's not necessarily as subjective as you think. I love Simic. I love Wendell Berry. There's all kinds of, obviously Seamus Heaney and Derek Mahon, great Irish poets. It's a matter of poetry is just finding like a poem that you love, and then find another one that you love, and even just start with the Nobel Prize winners. That's a good start. You, so there's all kinds of great, Derek Walcott. Do you have absolute pitch? No, I don't really. Have developed good relative pitch, which is the important thing. I think people that have perfect pitch, it seems to be a bit of a curse for them, and I don't really understand what the use would be, to be honest. When I'm arranging pieces, like if I'm auditioning like a Chopin piece, I'll try it out on different in different keys in my head on the guitar. So if I had perfect pitch, it would be not very possible. Have you heard Rosenberg? No, I haven't. I'll have to check that out. Did you ever drink in the back bar of Lavery's? I actually did I did a gig when I had a band, Airspace. We did a gig in Lavery's. And my uncles and aunties came out to see us. It was pretty funny. Can you teach someone to write music the way you do? Well, you always say that, writing music is an accumulation of, all of the knowledge you've acquired over time, and all of the little tricks and secrets you've kind of gotten. The most important thing with music is to be just kind of obsessed with it, like anything. And there's no shortcuts. You can't just you can't Google it. How to write something well. You have to kind of just. But the great thing about songs, it's not like writing a classical piece or something as complicated as that. I mean, you just have to have the right openness to be inspired. So I'll maybe make a video about how to get better at being inspired, and I think I'm kind of good at being inspired, if that makes sense. So you can kind of get yourself in a mental framework to where you shut off the kind of laptop part of your brain, the lizard brain, and you kind of plug into your real brain, the brain of your brain, which might be to do with your flow state or more connected with your soul. So sometimes writing a song, writing a good song, you can practice even just watching a movie, a good movie, film, with your guitar. And sometimes that even the state of watching a film will help you turn off your kind of lizard brain, because you will be kind of watching the film, and your film will be taking that up, and then your back brain, you're kind of the one that's kind of connected with your emotions, and your heart will kind of take the forefront, and your subconscious will be more active. And so I find sometimes when I'm moved the most, you can, that part of you will be activated more easily, and sometimes, if your dog dies or some kind of hard thing in your life happens, you'll need to write a song, because your emotions, you'll need the catharsis of that. So I recommend doing that. Trying to practice being inspired, practice turning off that. Even when you see Paul McCartney on that Get Back documentary, and he's writing Get Back, you see him going into that state, where his eyes are in the back of his head, and he's, dun, 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 and he's accessing his deeper self, and so that's the most important thing, so. Like Stevie Nicks, for instance, wrote like Landslide, right? One of the greatest songs ever written, with very limited guitar skills. I think, Lindsey Buckingham bought her a guitar and showed her a couple of chords, and she just wrote that song, So with songs are kind of incredible like that. You can have someone that's kind of a musical novice, but that has a gift. And another important thing for writing melodies and writing songs is you have to sing a lot. You have to just practice singing. You have to be comfortable with singing. All great songwriters, I think, are good singers. And I don't mean great singers like in an American Idol kind of nonsense. I mean, I think of Neil Young as a great singer, Bob Dylan, in his prime, a certain kind of Bob Dylan is a great singer. It's effective, and you can explore things, so that's an important thing. You have to be comfortable with just singing and allowing yourself to sing and to kind of grab certain intervals, and obviously using a harmonic instrument like a piano or a guitar, because the harmony is kind of like the emotional landscape where the melody can kind of rise from, So obviously there's great singers like who write great melodies, whether it's, Tom York or Jeff Buckley, Rufus Wainwright, and they are great singers, but they're also great. John Lennon, finding the right harmonies. So sometimes different things make a song great, my favorite John Lennon song is Julia. But if you just sang that melody, it would be kind of preposterous, right? So if you sing like half of what I say is meaningless, but I say it just to reach you, Julia. That's not even a melody, but obviously it depends on the harmonic movement, and it's cutting against that. Can your song Bullet be played with one guitar? Yes, that's what I do. I play it with one guitar. I only know how to play it with one guitar. Thought kills flow. Yeah, kind of. What's different kind of thinking? There's different. We have probably so many ways of thinking that we don't even understand, really. Yeah, that was an amazing documentary. Let me see. Thanks. You're welcome, Michael. The intonation of your classical guitars are impeccable. Is this entirely due to the luthier's craftsmanship? Yeah, I mean, the Botelli guitar is a little older, and it's kind of based on a Torres type guitar. Before I was recording the Bach stuff, I had to be very careful how to tune it, and I had my teacher Stanley there to check the tuning and stuff. He's very good at that. Tuning with classical guitars is very finicky, and thanks, you give me a new hope for writing songs again. Yeah, anyone can write a song. Tutorial request, girl with flaxen hair and the beautiful cascading harmonics. Yeah, I just made that arrangement up there because there's this beautiful near my parents' house. It's in South Belfast, a little town called Dunmurry where I grew up. There's an amazing international rose garden called Lady Dixon's, and it's hard to describe unless you go there. So I was just like, I have to record some Satie or Debussy in this, and so my muse kind of like wanted me to do that phrasing and harmonic. That's right, exactly. So a main principle you can think of, which I'll maybe do a video about with songwriting, is, and harmony in general, is instead of thinking of chords going around in big chunks, which you're not going to get the best results from that. A very simple idea you can mess around with on your guitar at home is that you can have something stays and then something moves, okay? So a very simple example of that is like, if you just have like a C chord, right? And then you keep the upper level notes on it, and then you just move the bass line down, like simple kind of cliches. That's an example of that, where something is staying and then something is moving, or something moving from the top and the bass being staying, and having a pedal tone can be very interesting as well. So that's usually a good principle. Yeah, with covers and stuff, is Lindsay Buckingham. I mean, if it occurs to me, so usually those kind of things I don't really try and think of a cover to do. I just kind of, it has to kind of come to me just like a song, you know. So I don't really force myself to. I can't, you know, I don't do it, you know, you know, at will. It kind of happens. Do you discard things you heard before when you're composing? You know, well, sometimes if you hear something that's you'll have a little warning. Oh, yeah, this is obviously from something else. But that's, you know, everyone does that. That's completely normal. In fact, I'm gonna do a little Beatles video about something on good intonation on guitars is impossible. Yeah, it is kind of a nightmare. Although this Zeb Turrentine guitar is incredible, the intonation is absolutely impeccable. Piano tuner here. Guitars are built to equal temperament, need to be slightly, exactly, yeah. So you're trying to get the guitar just perfectly out of tune. Usually it's the third string that gives you the most problems. So there's a whole little you know, there's a little kind of routine you can go through. Obviously, the main thing you want to do is tune each string to one note. You know, so usually I either tune all the strings to a harmonics on the A string. You know, so you're using the same note on every string, and it's being tuned to one tuning fork. You know, one particular. Or else, if I'm more in a hurry, or if I'm playing a recital, and I don't like to get too involved like that. Sometimes I'll just use the open E string, and I'll use that particular E to tune the exact same E on all of the strings using harmonics and whatnot. And usually that gives me a pretty accurate starting point, at least, you know. But tuning's, yeah, kind of a nightmare. The guitar's very complicated, which is part of its lure, but it's strange and complicated. I can't imagine using those old wooden tuning pegs if you were a lutenist or even a violinist. You know, it's so technical. But yeah, you know, I do get frustrated. My teacher Stanley is really good. He's never played a recital or his guitar's out of tune. You know, he's impeccable at that. And there's a funny wee anecdote. When I was studying with him doing a master's degree, he told me off because I was tuning the guitar, and then I was doing vibrato while I was tuning it. He's like, you can't vibrato the string when you're trying to tune it. Let me see here. Sorry if I missed your. Rick's right. He's right. Let me see. Beatles were the only. Well, yeah. I mean, although the Beatles were the only band that never created a throwaway track, I think there's an interesting thing with the Beatles, and I think most even Beatle lovers would agree with me. You okay there, baby? Sorry. Oh, thank you very much. Someone's like giving me money. That's very kind. Yeah, I mean the Beatles are interesting because although they didn't create throwaway tracks, I'm just on live on YouTube. You can talk as my daughter's here. She's just still showing. The some of their songs, you know, to me, if they didn't have their harmonies, they wouldn't necessarily be like great Beatles songs. So there's certain Beatles songs which are just amazing to me, you know, like that are so perfect, that like Ticket to Ride or Hey Jude. But then there's ones that, you know, maybe they wouldn't be as amazing if they just didn't have those amazing harmonies, you know. So the Beatles had that kind of secret weapon to where they could take something that was just kind of a good song and then make it like Beatles magic by doing these incredible harmonies, you know. Yeah, Queen could do that as well. That's right. So they kind of had they it was kind of unfair, the Beatles, you know. They had like two legitimate geniuses. Oh, thanks for a coffee. Don't know what that means. Because that is speaking of their harmony. Because, yeah, I mean, Because is an amazing example of that. I mean, which is a great John Lennon song. It has great harmony of itself, even if you just played it on piano and sang one of the harmonies. That would be, you know, it's amazing in and of itself. Tutorial lesson idea might be to take a standard or song everyone might know and demonstrate how different composers might do it. Yeah, perhaps, yeah. I mean, although to me, I don't really, I kind of just do things that I'm kind of moved to do. I can't really, there's things that you could do with high levels of competency, but, and there's certain kind of vocabulary that people use. But there's also, I don't know, I just do things that I'm moved to do, on a deep kind of on my heart level. And it's almost like when I'm creating something or even doing a cover, it just kind of, I'm letting it happen in a way. I used to say to people, if you're writing something, it's a wee bit like putting your line in the water and waiting for a fish. But really, what it's more accurately like with a song or writing a piece of music, a piece of art music, or even doing a cover, it's more like I'm the fish, and the idea kind of takes you along for a ride and kind of pulls you along with it. And you can't really help, you're just in the same room as when the song occurs. So I'm a firm believer that all true art is real, is kind of more real even than us. It's kind of an idea you'd hear like Anselm Kiefer talk about, the great visual artist. But that art comes from a place that's more real. If might sound a little bit kooky. This guy's place. So there's usually I kind of have to wait for something to happen, and then it just happens. Don't know if that answers your question. And I might not be able to do that. Sometimes I get an idea, like what if Mahler wrote a guitar piece, what would it sound like? I'm sometimes interested in those things. Sorry if I missed your question. This is a bit outright, but would you mind making an off-the-cuff jam? Maybe when I'm less tired, I'll maybe do that another time. I don't, I don't know if that sound of the washing machine is getting really loud. Sorry if I missed your question. Just ask it again. What were your biggest leaps from human to superhuman on the guitar? Well, I don't know if I always feel very inadequate when I'm playing a guitar, and I always practice very simple things. I warm up with very basic little things. Can you once in a while put an easy tutorial for us? Yeah, I mean, in fact, I'll probably do a tutorial tomorrow, which I think is the most important thing, and I won't tell you until tomorrow what it is, but probably the most important guitar skill that anyone can learn that requires zero talent. And so meaning, what were your top 4 hurdles? Did you start on classical? No, when I started playing the guitar, I actually played the violin from when I was like 5 until I was 10 or 11. And my brother's friend came in one time and he played like Johnny B. Good on a steel string guitar. And I was just like, well, that's way cooler than the violin. And so I was kind of hooked on that. And I started playing my brother, weirdly enough, was kind of a big Leonard Skinner fan in Northern Ireland. He had all these like bootlegs and stuff, from like the 70s. And I was playing. My dad caught me playing the Freebird solo on my violin. Kind of pluck 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 pluck. And so he was like, "We better get him a guitar." So I got this kind of real basic steel string guitar, and that's when all the kind of the widdly guitar was out there, and I was very, very interested in that. It was amazing. And I got an electric guitar, and yeah, so I just started to learn things by ear. Someone showed me like a blues scale, and I bought this like I forget what it was, like the John Mayall Blues Band with Eric Clapton. I bought a cassette of that, and I was like jamming along with it. I ended up in the U.S. I moved over with my family, around just kind of when I was like 16. My dad was kind of like this preacher missionary guy, and he was working with some church over here. So I just and then met my wife, my girlfriend at the time, and then I moved to North Carolina and got a guitar scholarship or a music scholarship, and I've kind of been here ever since. So yeah, I just started playing kind of, you know, heavy metal type rock stuff. That's what I was interested in. So, Oracion, you like that? Very cool. Beano, what is that? There's a guy from America came, and he had like he brought with him some like Yngwie Malmsteen records and Tony McAlpine, and that really blew me away. And then I guess the first album when I was like 13 or something, it really captured my imagination with the guitar was that Steve Vai record, Passion and Warfare. Can you tell us about your sound? A very good sound on classical guitar, very warm and clear. Yeah, well, that just comes from, all these different principles of tone production, your nails, the guitar itself, your touch, you develop. Stanley Yates, my teacher, he kind of helped me develop a slightly more advanced stroke, where you don't prepare too long on the guitar. You kind of prepare and pluck at the same time. Yeah, the guitar is very difficult. It's best to start with an electric guitar or a classical guitar so you don't get discouraged by the pain. So, yeah, so you can develop a touch that's kind of doesn't stop the strings. Oh, the John Mayall. It's called the Beano. Okay, I see that. I get it. Okay, it's the one where it's like, "Good morning, little schoolgirl." It's like what was that? It's like "Good morning, little schoolgirl," or it's got down 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 down. So yeah, I mean, you just get kind of the guitar is very seductive. You just get kind of caught up with it, and it captures your imagination. Hey, Argentina, awesome. That's where one of my favorite poets is from, Borges. I discovered your beautiful albums. Breathe. Thank you very much, Daniel. Yeah, I'd love to go to Buenos Aires someday to do a Borges pilgrimage. Buenos Aires, it sounds like it's nice and cool weather too. Buenos Aires. My wife speaks, reads Spanish. She teaches ESL. And yeah, Stepping Out, that's what it's called. I'm trying to figure out how Rick answers all I can see. He's kind of schizo way of answering all these questions. Yeah, so yeah, sometimes I'll read like I'll pronounce the Spanish of the Borges poems or Octavio Paz, and my wife will translate them. She's actually really awesome at it, and she's very accurate. So I'd love to go to Argentina. Also, I'm a big Messi fan. Other than George Best, the great Belfast boy. Do you find inspiration in a good poem informs a song, or does the music exist? Yeah, I mean, with lyrics, it depends on the song. Sometimes, a lot of times with me, the music starts first, and then I'm kind of mining my subconscious, and I have various techniques that I use for that, for the lyrics. And sometimes what I would call a topical song, as in the idea of the song occurs first, the poetry occurs first, and then it kind of I kind of build a melody around that, which is actually a very easy way to write melodies. What I'm 44, so you didn't follow what? Yeah, yeah, Stanley's right hand for sure. Yeah, I mean he taught me a lot about playing the guitar. But yeah, a lot of times the melody comes first, and then maybe a little snippet of a lyric idea, like a strange idea that you actually couldn't acquire, wouldn't be possible to acquire with your conscious mind. So a song like Bullet, for instance, which has a very strange chorus, where it's like the bullet tripped the gun on this side of town, where the bullet tripped the gun on this side of town. You got no place to run when you're upside down. Like, so I like lyrics like that come to me like that, that I don't totally know what it means myself, but it has a kind of a lasting power that way. And it can perhaps mean more, perhaps, like a good abstract painting or something. And because it's kind of you're mining your subconscious, you're perhaps accessing things that are more true, and less planned, more honest, much like if you were perhaps hypnotized or something, and or you're on some kind of truth serum. So sometimes that's a starting place for songs. Sometimes songs happen, where you get the real idea for the song first. So that song on Abilene, like Banjo Moon or Home of the Brave, they were more like lyrical ideas and then I wrote the melodic material from that. It's much easier to write the music that way, like kind of Bob Dylan would, or because language has an inherent rhythmical element to it, which makes the writing of a melody quite easy. So you could just read a cereal box, and do it, in the style of, I'm looking at this wine bottle here. You could just be like, government warning, according to the Surgeon General. You could do like a Smith song from your wine bottle. Just because language has that kind of inherent rhythmic quality. Birch Giant, yeah, I mean, that's a little bit kind of behind my time, but I'm aware of that kind of, new folk revival stuff from the 70s. No, I have not listened to the band Kunik. I'm afraid not. Sorry. I'll check that out. Do you always write your own lyrics? Yes, I do. But you didn't follow Stanley's right. Well, with Stanley's system, I added some things that I do myself too. Let me see. Oh, so you're from Belfast, Novotny Brant. I wrote an organ piece in the style of Bach. Any interest in hearing it? Well, maybe. Let me see. Stepping out. Yeah, with classical stuff and pop music. It's because I take kind of pop music very seriously. I don't think of them as one is less than the other or something. I think of a really great song, a really great Beatles song or Radiohead song in the same breath as I do Chopin and Debussy. I just think pop music is kind of one of the new powerful art forms, perhaps like cinema. What inspires you? What do you listen to? I think, I don't know what inspires me. I mean, I'm always capable of being inspired, like even if I'm at a party or something, or in a crowded room and there's a guitar, I could very easily disappear into the guitar, and usually you can kind of access your inspiration So as long as you kind of feel it coming, it's like Mozart wrote famously that he writes music like a pig pisses, which is obviously he's being funny, but he's also talking about just the sense of the kind of inspiration that you feel in your kind of pressure, just like you would feel in your bladder, like you know something's coming, you know that a song's coming, you know, and so so usually, have you any interest in classical Indian music? Yeah, I enjoy Indian music when I do hear it. I don't. I'm not like an expert in it or anything, but I'm obsessed with Indian food. I actually cook Indian food, and whenever I go to a new town or a new city, no matter where I am in the world, I always have to try and find the best Indian restaurant and eat there immediately. That's what I was. There's a couple of good places in Belfast I find. What inspire? I do listen to regularly. I do listen to a lot of Bach and Chopin. I love Chopin. It just depends what kind of zone I'm in. Sometimes I'm listening to more songs. Sometimes it's more classical stuff. Last question is great, by the way. What are your top 3 recordings you've done to you? The top record. I mean, in terms of recordings of songs, I like just capturing something kind of. It's usually when I do my own songs, the Esther Raven stuff. It's just live, you know, and it's just like kind of very simple. So I direct myself and I try and get the best possible kind of mood of it that I can, and I try and hone in on it. So on the U2 covers album, I really like, if you listen to the actual album, not the thing I did on YouTube, the Until the End of the World, I really like that. And I like the Unforgettable Fire recording too. It's amazing that you blew up. I used to take, oh, you know, Elon, that's cool. Aw, I love Elon. I love to be able to play with Elon. I'm going to try and get him to, if I do some band stuff. Elon's an amazing bass player. Do you imagine how Chopin's piano music would transcribe? Yes, I do. I picture it, and when I'm auditioning, I do a lot of Chopin on the guitar. I'll be doing an album of some Chopin. Thank you so much, Justin. That's very generous. Yeah, I'm kind of obsessed with Chopin, like I am with Bach. To me, he's one of the great composers, and I mean top 5, you know, of all time. Some people don't think that because he didn't really write anything other than piano music, but well, say hello to me, Austin, if I'm in HMF. Yeah, so Chopin's like this whole universe to me, like in terms of a composer. His batting average is just so off the charts in terms of creating memorable. The hardest thing to do isn't necessarily to write something complicated or to write a fugue or to write a symphony. The hardest thing to do is write something that's memorable and something that is almost pre-existent. And right, so Chopin does that so effortlessly. Even in one piece of music, he'll have 4 or 5 different melodies that a lesser composer wouldn't be able to access any of those, and so Chopin's just like on a different planet, you know, because of his range. Yeah. So I mean, other things, obviously that the Chacon recording, I like that because I worked so hard on working on it, you know, on developing it and getting the right affectation. In fact, I'm going to do a course. It sounds for this kind of super nerdy classical players like myself. I'm going to just, because it's a bit too much for just YouTube, I'm going to do a series of videos as a course to just sell, you know, that would be like a long lesson with me through it. Maybe you have like 10 videos, and I'll just go through all the different chunks of the Chacon yeah, to help people perhaps that are trying to learn it, or but also as a practicum to show you how to play the guitar, how I play or how I think on the guitar. So yeah, so I'm going to do some courses like that are just like practicum, like kind of step into my world, and I'll show you, and I'll use the chaconne and my arrangement of it to discuss various technical ideas and musical ideas. Yeah, Chopin is definitely, maybe next to Bach is maybe my favorite guitar composer. Blah, blah, blah. Sorry for repeating the question. Would you consider doing a tutorial on how to independently control the loudness of your notes played by each one? Well, you could work on, Dave. This is a question from Dave Corsello. You can do a very simple exercise. Stanley showed me this exercise, which is very useful in terms of getting each finger to make a louder note than the other ones. I think it's a David Russell exercise. And you can do a very simple arpeggio, like P-I-M-A, P-I-M-A, Maybe just do a little E on the fourth string, on the D string, and have a little E minor thing. And so what you can do is you can start by making the thumb loud, like bong, and then make the other ones quiet and make the thumb loud, bong, ba, 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 bong, ba, ba, ba. And then you can go through it and do that for like a half a minute or a minute, and then focus on your eye, just mentally, the eye finger, and make all the other ones quiet and go boom, bum, 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 bum. And when you want to make a note louder, you're just kind of swinging it further. It's like a golf, a golf club. If you're trying to get a pitching wedge to go 100 yards, you're gonna get it up to here. If you want it to go 30 yards, I'm not much of a golf player, but my dad is. So you can kind of like do the same thing with your fingers. You can fire in further into your hand if you want it to be louder, and then you can be very gentle. Sometimes if I want to be very quiet and I want it barely to make a sound, I don't even move my fingers. I just move my arm to get a very very quiet sound. So there's lots of different things you can do like that. Just focusing on swinging through further, like aiming further into your hand. So this is a certain sound, this is a bigger sound, and then kind of a maxed out sound. But you can try and develop maybe 3 levels of dynamic like that, piano, mezzo forte, and then forte. Let me see. I don't know if that answers your question. Thank you for teaching me how to sing with my fingers in the right hands. You're welcome, Darian. Because of the range, his F sharp minor prelude would sound fantastic on the guitar. If you could do it, have a listen. I'll have to check that out. Yeah, I mean, I have several of his preludes that I play in concert. I do a set of 3 Chopin preludes. What do you think of Schoenberg? Yeah, it's an interesting idea. I've sometimes been tempted to do some part of a Alban Berg or Schoenberg just for a laugh on the guitar. But I have some existential issues with the kind of serial music in general. It's too simplistic to be real. What do you think of Muse and Radiohead? Well, I love Radiohead. I'm not that familiar with Muse, but yeah, I'm a kind of a big Radiohead fan, just like the Beatles. They're kind of my band in a way. Yeah. Let me see. I majored in piano performance. I've played a ton of I love even my son in the lockdown, he started playing piano. I kind of give the kids a wee bit of an ultimatum. I was like, you're not going to school here, so you're not going to sit around staring at your phones all day. I'm going to give you like you can do like an hour of BS stuff on your phone, and then you got to read or talk to your friends or, learn an instrument. So my son Dorian just started teaching himself to play piano. But Chopin was a big part of that because the music kind of touched him so deeply. It kind of drove his practice. So it's a very important part of practicing an instrument is just loving it and loving the music so much that the work doesn't seem like work. Um, ba, ba, ba. I don't know if I missed anybody's question. Please do more videos about composition. These are very interesting ideas. Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm going to try and kind of do some stuff that it sounds kind of impossible, but I'd love to be able to try and help people enter into the kind of the deeper aspects of making music and writing music because it's very mysterious, and it's but I think you can set yourself up for making yourself receptive, and you can start by just kind of fishing with it, having your guitar around, having your piano there, and being vulnerable. You have to, it sounds like a strange thing to say, but you have to be emotionally vulnerable. You have to be willing to sing things and try things, and not be afraid of seeming like an idiot. So even on Instagram, you'll see I've put up like idea dumps, I call them, or if I have what I think is a good idea, I'll just kind of put it on Instagram so I don't forget it. Abel Carlavaro taught the technique of pushing down the string you want to emphasize. Yeah, I mean, he had kind of a rest stroke based thing, which I very rarely, I use rest strokes more just to kind of have a certain weight, like you say, so sometimes if I want to emphasize part of a melody, I'll use a rest stroke. Sometimes it's more of a tonal thing. It's more of like it's not necessarily to make it very loud. It's just like a weight, it's a certain weight. So maybe I'll demonstrate that sometime. But I don't really have a particular method for it. Do you play as well without the long nails on the right hand? Yeah, you can't have your nails too long, or they'll be restrictive. You want them to kind of slide through the strings, and displace the string. And it's just usually a good, I just did my nails today there. Usually a good nail length is just the length of your fingertip, essentially. Let me see, I assume it's highly constructed versus improvised. Yeah, serial music, dodecaphonic, 12-tone music. Yeah, it's kind of, it kind of became something that dominated the academy, something that dominated universities. And to be honest, it's like it's something that a lot of talentless people could hide behind. I don't mind people writing, atonal music if that's what you hear and that's what you want to hear. But I'm kind of the mind where I would love to hear, you should be able to take a test and write something that's good, that's like highly tonal first or something. I think of Picasso, could paint anything by the time he was 10. And it's a little bit different than then someone just splatting some paint on the canvas and saying they're an abstract painter. Sorry, my wife just got home. Let me see. I'll take a couple more questions. And then I have to go to the studio because we have to unload a tape machine that me and Luke bought. Is the state you're talking about related to meditation? I guess it's kind of a meditation of sorts. Yeah, I don't know. It's not technically. I use the guitar, I guess. And anytime you just strum a few chords on the guitar, on some level, you're kind of hypnotizing yourself. You're kind of. So rank these, everything in its right place. Street Spirit, Paranoid Android. Well, those are all kind of masterpiece songs. I would say, in terms of a song, Paranoid Android, it's a little bit like Happiness is a Warm Gun. It's kind of an amalgamation of song ideas. So I love that in its own way. I would say maybe the strongest song I would say would be like Street Spirit, probably out of those in terms of just a song. Obviously, Paranoid Android's amazing, and it's overwhelming, and everything in its right place is amazing too. Kid A is probably my favorite Radiohead album as an album. I love the song "How to Disappear Completely." Do you use your right hand pinky finger when playing classical? Not really, because it's kind of swings. It's so much shorter. But it's definitely possible to utilize it. Just find you. Thank you. Do you have any approaches to players who have lost enthusiasm for the instrument as a player personally? Just I would suggest doing things that kind of spark your imagination, and don't do things that are too technically difficult. You can play really fun things and beautiful things in that aren't, too demanding, but that involve you in the music. You can just to play a few notes on the guitar is so beautiful and so mysterious. Just to be able to play a chord. So I would do things that whatever you find puts you off. Try and stay away from that. Try and do something fresh. Put a capo on, do something different. Hi Alan, it would be good to know about your criteria to improvise over Bach, but also how to play apply Bach's displacement. Yeah, I mean, when I work with Bach and stuff, I'm usually kind of trying to hear things just from stuff that I've heard in other pieces. I rely on blues pentatonics, but yep, that's a good way. I feel I'm serializing. Yeah, so you can get out of a good way to get out of kind of pentatonic boxes is to kind of use them in different ways. Like for instance, just do the same thing on a different part of the guitar, or limit yourself. I find when I used to teach someone who was left-handed. I would take their guitar and I would play it, and it was upside down, but I always find it really fun because I didn't do the same kind of cliches that my fingers were just playing by themselves, and it was like the guitar was new to me just because it was upside down. So that, things like that are good little tricks, or to try and push out sideways into different parts of the guitar. Yeah, I have to go. I've just got this Atari tape thing for the studio, this giant thing, and I have to help Luke unload it into the studio. So I'll let you go. Sorry if I haven't missed one of your questions, and thanks for tuning in. And I'll talk to you soon. I'll try and do a wee tutorial for tomorrow, and I'm gonna start one of those for longer tutorials. I'll try and limit them to like 10 or 20 minutes or so, and then I'll have a longer version for like kind of Patreon type thing or whatever, for people who are real glutton for punishment, and I'll have more examples for that kind of thing. But yep. So you have a wonderful evening, and everyone sleep well. And if you're in another time zone, I'll see you later. Have a good day. Toodaloot.